in this video we're going to talk about the ID attributes. Okay, so if you look at the left side of your screen, you will see where I wrote the ID attribute, and how you denote your ID attribute is with your hashtag or your hash symbol, whereas for your class attribute you denote it with a period, or what we popularly call full stop or dot. So we are going to be going over that, but let me just quickly state that your ID attribute is used when you want to give a unique class, or you want to style your particular content unique, in a unique way, such that it's different from the generic value that you give your other content. Whereas in the class attribute, you use your class attribute when you want to style it generically. For instance, we let's go to the web page now. We created an extra paragraph, and you see the first paragraph here and the second paragraph are designed essentially the same way. Okay, so you see that this first paragraph here and this second paragraph have the same design element, and the third paragraph here has a different design element. Okay, so what your ID attribute does is it just helps you to remember that you have designed this particular paragraph differently, and you want it to stay that way. So I'm just quickly going to run through how you design your ID attributes, or how you create your ID attribute in our HTML code, and of course in CSS. So the particular paragraph that we're going to be working with is our para 3, and we're simply just going to change class, okay, to ID. That's the difference really in our HTML code. So it becomes ID for para 3, okay, and we're just specifying so that we will remember that we designed this particular paragraph in our HTML code differently. Okay, and it will also help for us to state where it is. Okay, so let's say para 3 default. So we are simply saying that this para 3 is in our default page, or our home page, or let's just say home page. That will be easier to remember. Okay, so this para 3 is in our home page. That's this paragraph 3 is in our home page, and we have styled it uniquely to be different from the generic style that we have for the other paragraphs in our pages throughout the website. So this will help you to remember and have a better understanding of how you have designed it. And the difference between our ID attribute and our class attribute, when we are styling it, is that it begins with the hashtag, like I said before, unlike the class attribute that begins with a period or a full stop. So we are just going to change this to para 3 specifying home page. Okay, and that is really all we need to do. Save this, and then we'll come to our page and we hit refresh, and you see that it remains the same. So basically our website remains the same and nothing changes, but basically you can, just to add, you can use your class attribute, or you can use your ID attribute, whichever one you prefer. But the ID attribute is just a shorthand for you to remember the particular CSS rules that you have created to be unique. Like in this case now, this one is unique, it has a font color of red, and you see that the font size are really small, unlike this one, which is the medium font size, and it has a color of black. So if you want to create special CSS rule for a particular content on your web page, it is advised that you use the ID attributes. Okay, so that's really that for the ID attribute. And always remember in your CSS document to put the hashtag when you are starting your ID attribute, and that is the way you style or create a CSS rule for your HTML document, which is in an ID, which has an ID attribute. So that should do it for this video. It's a real quick one. We thank you for watching. We'll see you in our next class.